The name of the most gracious and merciful Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, peace be upon you all. Hello, my name is Tria Wandari. I am from Science 4 and my episode number is 33. Here I would like to present historical recount text and the title is The Atomic Bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Please enjoy my story. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were nuclear attacks on the Empire of Japan during World War II. The United States and the Allies were fighting against Japan and slowly winning. 2 nuclear weapons were dropped on Japan, one on the city of Hiroshima and the other on the city of Nagasaki. The generals wanted to bomb Kokura instead of Nagasaki, but it was too cloudy over Kokura that day. United States President Harry S. Truman ordered these attacks on August 6 and 9, 1945. This was near the end of World War II. The atomic bombs had been created through the Manhattan Project. They created 2 bombs. The first bomb was called Little Boy and was to be dropped on Hiroshima, and the second bomb was called Fat Man and was to be dropped on Nagasaki. Nuclear bombs are much more powerful than other bombs. 6 days after the explosion over Nagasaki and after the Soviet invasion of Manchukuo, Japan surrendered to the Allied powers on August 15th. Japan signed the surrender paper on September 2nd. This officially ended the Pacific War and World War II. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were chosen for several reasons. First, both cities were unsuitable for firebombing, mainly due to the river deltas preventing firestorms from being very effective. Second, both cities had areas which provided a good measurement for damage caused by the nuclear bombs. Third, and finally, both cities contained strategic personnel and installations. Hiroshima was the headquarters on the 2nd General Army and 5th Divisions with 40,000 Japanese combatants stationed within the city's limit, and Nagasaki contained 2 large Mitsubishi armament factories and many other medium to small workshops on plants providing fighter war components for Japan's war machine. Many say that the atomic bombs actually saved many lives in the long run because it prevented the invasion of Japan. However, Japan had lost a huge part of its food resources and the majority of its navy. Many of these people suggest that Japan may have lacked the strength to carry out major fighting. United States military commanders made statements during and immediately after 1945 that they believed Japan was effectively defeated prior to the dropping of the bomb. Before the bombs, Japan offered to surrender on condition that their leaders had to stay in charge. America said the Emperor of Japan leader could stay in power, but Japanese had to take orders from American soldiers placed in Japan, making it an occupied territory. More people would have been killed in the whole battle in Japan. Some give different causes of deaths in an invention and deaths by the atomic of bombs, and say that the bombings were not necessary. People still argue about this. No nuclear weapon has ever been used against a target since August 9, 1945. The decisions to use nuclear weapons on Japan was made after an analysis showed that more than 1 million people, combatants and civilians of both nations, would die if Japan was invaded by Allied forces. The nuclear bombings, while shocking and unprecedented, actually paled in comparison with the Operation Meeting House fire bombing of Tokyo on March 1945, which killed 100,000 civilians. Doing nothing or waiting for surrender was not an option because hundreds of thousands of combatants, civilians, and prisoners were dying each month in the territories of the Empire of Japan. Partly because of the atomic bombings, Japan adopted the 3 non-nuclear principles after the war. These principles say that Japan could not create or try to get nuclear weapons. Scientist Albert Einstein wrote a letter about the atomic bomb on August 1939, where he said later, "I made one great mistake in my life when I signed a letter to President Roosevelt recommending that atom bombs be made." Thank you very much for your attention and have a good day. Peace be upon you all.